Hello everybody and welcome back to Strategy Guide Reviews. My name is Blake Grunman and I am here with a brand new guide. This time I'm bringing to you guys Far Cry 5. Now this is a game that I've thoroughly enjoyed on PC. This game is so much fun. It is so much fun. This big gigantic open world to explore. So what better way to kind of get the most out of it than to cover the guide. So I'll just kind of dive right into it right off the bat. And the first thing I did want to talk about was actually the quality of the book. Now, I mean, overall, very solidly constructed book, put together really well. Now, the one thing that I did want to note, and this is something that I found on a lot of pages, there were a lot of pages that you might have just heard it right there. Pages that were stuck together. And in some cases, like right there at the binding point where they would go together, you can actually see, like at the bottom of some of these pages, over here especially, you can see, hey, look, there's some tearing because these pages were actually stuck together at the very bottom, and in some cases it was right along the inseam here. So it was like it just either hadn't gotten cut correctly or they were all bound together. It was kind of bizarre. Again, not a major thing, but it was just kind of one of those where I sat there and went, what's going on here? It was kind of bizarre. But overall, again, not a deal breaker, not by any stretch of the imagination. But we'll just kind of jump right into it then with the guide itself. So as always, you're going to be leading off with, hey, here are all the key players. And again, this is done very well. You see your main protagonists and also obviously the bad guys. And then you're going to be going through and you're going to be talking about, all right, here's how you get your resistance team together. Here's how you do the crafting system, the perks, being able to recruit people into your party, and also the different ways that you can approach each mission. And actually, that was a key thing that they call out. So you can see here these 4 key types. So you can be like a stealth assassin, a sniper, what is it? It's a recon or a tank. And so that kind of breaks down their basic play styles that they're going to give you descriptions on in the guide itself. Because one of the key things about a Far Cry game is it's a big open world that you have infinite different approaches and opportunities to explore and try different things. So they kind of try to give you different ways to approach each mission. So right off the bat, you're going to see things like, all right, so here are this is my for hire roster, and these are characters that you will get in to be able to recruit to be members of your team. Of course, Herc, right there in the middle. Herc, what would a Far Cry game be without Herc? Or at least Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and Primal. But he's awesome. I love that character. He's so dumb. But anyway, so then you also see things like your fangs for hire, which in this case are your animals. So there's nothing more fun in this game than being able to ride around on a gigantic grizzly bear named Cheeseburger with a flamethrower just wreaking all kinds of hell. It's amazing. It's so much fun. And this game the guide kind of caters to that a little bit. And it kind of encourages you to look into different approaches in the game. So kind of how they break it down is they have each region, and you'll have like a big regional map like what you can see over here. Then they break down all of the different individual missions in that region, and then they give an individual, all right, so here's how we're going to handle this. Here's your story mission, some basic screenshots, and then all of the different steps that you have as part of that mission. Now, what's interesting about this is the fact that they have additional sections at the end of each one of these story portions where it'll say, here are your main quests, here are your side quests. They have these things called the breakdowns of your cult outposts, which in this case, these are just like your standard outposts in a Far Cry game. And then these prepper stashes, which are additional items that you can get in the game, and they have a lot of perks in them. And so, like, you'll find all these different prepper stashes hidden throughout the game. But it doesn't call those out until the end of one of those sections. So here's one where it kind of plays more of an effect. So you're looking at John's region again. Big map with lots of different things, lots of different call outs on it, which it then also provides context to on the opposite side of the page there, where it breaks them down into their sub-regions and what each piece is. And then from there, then you get into, once again, your missions and submissions, and you'll be able to see where all of those are again on the map. And then you'll also see individual over here on this side of the page, you'll see page breakdowns as far as, all right, so here's where all of those items live. So that's helpful when you're trying to navigate through the book, because I mean it's really chock full of stuff, so you don't want to miss anything. So you will, again, you have kind of your general breakdowns of, all right, so here are your story missions, and again, as you work your way through it, you'll then also come across things like, in this case, side missions, much smaller scope. They kind of break these down, and then once you've went through a lot of these items, then they start breaking these down by the actual characters that you're working with, because you'll encounter these characters at numerous occasions. So in this case, here's all the Willis Huntley missions that appear in this region, and they kind of go through and they break down every single mission that these characters will provide you. Now, what makes this kind of interesting is the way that it's constructed. It's not really linear. And so what I mean by that is, if you're going to try to go from top to bottom and figure out how you're going to work through the game, it's not going to work if you're just reading the guide. If you're trying to read it from page 1 to page whatever the hell it is at the very end, by the time you're through the walkthrough, I believe it's probably 150 or 160. By the time you actually reach that point, if you try to read through it linearly and follow that path, it's just not going to happen, just because the way that the world is laid out. It's not going to be advantageous for you. So it's almost better to take the approach of, all right, I'm going to find this mission. I'm going to realize, okay, so now I'm meeting up with Willis Huntley, and here's the mission that I'm doing, and then look that up in the book. Use the appendices up here in the front, and actually look up where these specific missions are, and then use the guide in that respect. Now, if you're trying to be a completionist, that's going to make this a nightmare to try to navigate this guide. It really is. And that's not the guide's fault. That's just the way that the game is designed. So I mean, I can't really fault them for that. But I will say it's very complete. It is. They did not leave any stones unturned on this. I mean, they did a very, very solid job. I mean, for example, the Holland Valley missions, you can see there, count 52 missions in that region. 52. That's a lot of friggin' missions. So I mean, it's amazing that you don't get lost amongst that whole mess. And so again, as you continue through the book, you then will also encounter things like, all right, so here's the Nadine Abercrombie missions, and so you can see, all right, so this one's a side mission. And then you'll follow along, and then you'll see, okay, so here are all of the different capture sites where I need to try to find things. And they'll give you a breakdown with screenshots of, all right, so here's where it is, and here's the specific room where you will find these hidden objects. So it's really nice because it gives you double context. Here's the region, and here's the specific room where you're going to find these objects. That's really, really helpful, because normally you just get a screenshot of, hey, here's an out-of-context shot. Here's a bedroom. When you got a game this friggin' big, trying to find a single bedroom, good luck. But if it shows you, hey, here's the farmhouse that it's in, and the bedroom looks like this, and when you're trying to find a collectible, that's a whole hell of a lot more helpful. So in that respect, I really like what they did as far as that layout and construct is concerned. So it really does make it, though, that when you're playing it, you can't really come in thinking, all right, I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to take it from point A to point B to point C and follow this book. It's just not going to happen. It's not. So it's just best to kind of let the game play out in front of you, and if you have questions, go to the guide or start your missions, find out what the name of the mission is or whom you're working with, and then look up that specific mission in the guide. That's how you're going to be best served using this book. Now, once you get past a lot of this, and again, it's pretty standard as far as that's concerned. So you have your main missions, then you reach your outposts and breakdowns of how to take out each outpost. Like you'll see here, all right, so here's your cultist outpost. Here's how to tackle it. And they'll also give you different ways you can do it. Like, all right, so if you want to go in guns a-blazing, here's how to do it. Or here's how to go in undetected and not have any alarms go off. And they'll tell you, all right, so here's where specific sirens are. You want to shut those off. Or here's where the cameras are that you want to take them out. Or here's where the sniper is that you need to take out so that they don't notify the rest of the guards. You know, just kind of these individual items that can be used to kind of make your life a little bit easier. And the walkthroughs that they give for all these missions, very thorough, very well put together, and you know, I really don't have any complaints with that. I had a couple of times where I was trying to play through it before I got the guide, and I'd ran into some pretty tough situations. I couldn't figure out how to get past them, pulled up the guide, sure enough, oh hey look, there's 2 snipers up in the tower. If you take them out, and then there's 2 sirens, one on the side of the building and then one under the base of the tower. If you take both of those out, then they can't call for reinforcements, and then you can go in and just kind of wreak all kinds of hell. I hadn't even thought about that, and sure enough, I was able to blow through that mission in no time. I would have never been able to figure that out on my own, so being able to have this here to take care of that, it's perfect. That's the kind of feedback that I need when I'm trying to play through a game of this nature. Now, what next follows that up is the Atlas. And this is where things get pretty crazy as far as the amount of detail. So again, you have a map of a specific region. Let me kind of jump over to this. Let's go to an area beyond Dutch's Island because it's a little smaller. So let's look at, again, John's region. Again, they're broken down into quadrants. So in this case, you have 8 different quadrants. I believe that they're tied to the specific outposts that you would be dealing with in those areas. And so with that, they're kind of trying to come up with a way to, all right, let's break these down into these subregions that people can work inside of. And so you'll see then, once you're inside of a subregion, you can see, hey, all right, so here's the specific cutout of that map. And again, you have key items that are called out there. And then every single one of those key items appears in this side of things. And they'll kind of give you a breakdown of, all right, so here's a key thing. Here's what you can find at that location. Is there a mission there? Is there just objects that you can discover? Are there interactions with NPC characters? Are there side missions that you can go? And literally every single landmark is in the game. Every single thing is found in here. It's obscenely thorough. It's kind of ridiculous. When I'm looking at it, I literally just went, you've got to be kidding me. Like this is, it literally covers everything. I gotta say, as somebody who has previously reviewed the Far Cry Primal review, I gotta say, this thing, it's blown me away how thorough this is. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. And then on top of all of that, then obviously you get to the end, and that's when you kind of have your breakdowns of key items. Like, all right, so here are my perks and the individual benefits that come from each perk. All right, the different health bonuses and what comes along with those. And they give you a breakdown of every item in the perk tree. And this this game, I would say the perk trees aren't quite as deep as the previous games. So in that respect, at least from where I'm sitting, I felt like they were a bit easier to accomplish. And so still having those are very helpful. And then on top of that, also being able to look at, all right, so hey, here are all of your vehicles in the game, which I gotta say, one of the things I was looking at, all right, I hate to call out specific screenshots, but if you look at that screenshot right there, no, that's not my camera being smudgy and gross. That is just one muddy ass looking screenshot. It does not look good. It was like, oh wow, okay, so this was a pre-production build of the inside of that car, because that does not look good at all. Fortunately, you know, the game is more sum of its parts rather than, you know, any one thing that it's exceptional at. But so you then have breakdowns of all of your different vehicles, all of your different weapons, your aircrafts. Hell, it even goes to the point where it'll show you every individual outfit that you can get and unlock. I mean, for real? That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And the fact that they put screenshots with every one of them, it's just like, good lord, they literally have thought of everything. And then, of course, at the very end, you have your achievements and trophies. Now, if you've ever seen me or read any of the reviews that I've written about things, one thing that I'm such a sucker for, I absolutely love the developer portions where they'll interview a producer or a programmer or something like that, and they'll have a lot of concept art. And this game has one of those sections. It's 20 some odd pages, but man, these screenshots and this concept art is just absolutely beautiful. And it's super interesting just kind of hearing just kind of the thoughts of the people, like, hey, here's the executive producer, the writer, the lead programmer. And again, to be fair, a lot of this is PR speak. It really is. It's just kind of, this obviously was heavily vetted responses to generalized questions. But still, just the kind of stuff you're getting, like getting a big full-page screenshot of concept art. That's so cool. That is really beautiful, neat stuff. And of course, You gotta have a screen. You gotta have a picture of Herc, man. Herc is the man. He's my favorite. I know I've said that a couple times. And then also you can look at individual thumbnails of most all of the characters that you're going to be encountering in your missions. So I mean, they've done a really cool job, really trying to call out what makes this game special. Talking with the programmers, they even have a little call out here for Far Cry Arcade, which I mean, this is so much fun. This guide, bang up job. I'm extremely pleased with what came with this guide. And then to top it all off, this is the first time I've actually opened this because I've heard it's absolutely massive. But holy moly! So this is a gigantic map of Hope County. And all of the different characters, apparently, that you will see, the characters of note. Wow. And then if you flip it over onto the other side, you again have another massive map of Hope County. And here are all of your individual missions, collectibles, secondary locations. Good Lord, everything broken down from the book into this massive map. That is beautiful. That is really cool. That's one of those where you just kind of want to take it and go, oh man, if I had a spot, I would hang this on a wall somewhere. This is really neat. Now, one other thing I did want to call out about this guide, and this isn't even about the printed guide. This is actually the e-guide. And this was something I was pleasantly surprised about, is the e-guide is really good when it comes to the interactive maps. That's where this guide absolutely shines in its e-reader e-guide format, because essentially it allows you to kind of drill in, and you can click checkboxes along the side and choose, all right, here are the items that I want to see, or here are the types. I want to see collectibles, I want to see weapon stashes, I want to see prepper stashes, and you can kind of check all the items that you want to see, and then they'll appear on the map. You can then click on them and it will give you an interactive either zoom in, or it will say, all right, so there are missions at this point, and then you can click the hyperlink to actually go to the missions in the e-guide. So you can kind of use that core map as a hub for what you're trying to play with. And that in and of itself is kind of conducive to the game style that I was talking about earlier, where essentially you just play through it, and as you encounter things, you go to those missions. If you're using the map and you're kind of keeping track of where you are using the in-game map, this is very helpful for using that. And that in and of itself makes it's well worth its weight in gold there. Now, the one thing I did find interesting is I was looking through the mission list on the e-guide, and let me kind of bring it up here for a second. There's one story mission called Raising the Stakes that for some reason it shows as not being there. Like it doesn't have a hyperlink to actually link out to the mission. Did they actually miss one mission in the online guide? Again, I'm not going to judge them. This game has so many damn missions, I can't really hold that against them. But I did find it kind of curious. I was like, just one? This is a little bit bizarre. But overall, I gotta say, after seeing Far Cry Primal that I reviewed a couple of years ago, that was, I think I gave that a 3 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5. And this time around, man, they have dramatically stepped up their game. I'm very impressed with what I've seen here. And overall, I think this is probably one of the better guides you're going to be getting anytime soon. So I give the Far Cry 5 guide a 4.5 out of 5. Thank you guys very much for watching, and keep it locked here to Strategy Guide Reviews for lots more reviews coming up later on this year. Take care.